Yes, we're going to start the meeting now.
Jefferson County uses an OWL direct multi-directional camera to record meetings, and we will upload these videos to Jefferson County YouTube channel. The OWL camera is sound sensitive and can recognize and record conversations that are held amongst the public during the meeting. For full functionality of the camera, Jefferson County would like to request that the public refrain from public comment until called upon by the president of the board. We would also like to request that the public refrain from commentary or audience conversation during the meeting. Because of the sensitivity of the camera may pan to the audience conversation rather than focusing on the subject of the meeting. When called upon, please approach the podium, state your name and address, and Jefferson County would like to request that the speaker limit themselves to 5 minutes. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation.
Okay. We'll do roll call.
David Ferguson.
Here.
Jenny Beverly. Here. Kellen Cronin. Fred Stillwell.
Here.
Jim Klepper.
Here. Okay, we have quorum. We've got previous meeting minutes for the 6th, 7th, 19th of November and December the 3rd. Everybody had a chance to look those over. I have if that's the case, a motion to accept.
I make a motion, we accept the November 6th, 7th, 19th, and December 3rd minutes as.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We've got election of officers. Do you want to run that part out, Mike? Sure.
Will we do the nomination of president, vice
Yeah.
president, and
Yeah.
secretary?
Anyone want to nominate someone for president?
Make motion, nominate Dave Ferguson as president.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Give a roll call vote.
Do I call David Ferguson for that one?
Might as well.
Abstain.
Jenny Beverly?
Yes.
Yes.
We're doing a roll call vote.
Oh, okay.
Fred Stillwell?
Sorry.
What's that? Roll call vote.
Okay, and then Jim Klepper.
In favor.
Do you have a vice chair or not?
I think it was Jenny. Wasn't it?
Mhm.
Would you like to have a vice chair?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Do we have a nomination for a vice chairman?
Nominate Jenny Beverly.
I second it.
And a motion and a second. Can we roll call vote?
David Ferguson?
Aye.
Fred Stillwell?
Aye.
Jim Klepper?
Aye.
And we just have the secretary. Thank you.
Do we nominate you?
Yeah, we have to,
Yes.
yeah.
Do we have a nomination for the secretary?
I nominate Taylor.
Do we have a
for
second?
I second.
All in, no, roll call vote.
Okay. David Ferguson?
Yes.
Jenny Beverly?
Yes.
Fred Stillwell?
Yes.
Jim Klepper?
Yes.
All right, nominations are done. We'll move on. We had appointments from to the commissioners of Jenny Beverly and Kellen. And I think that's all been done and taken care of. So they'll be on the board for 3 more years. All right. We need new business. Is our Chris here? Sir. Yeah, okay. Do you have your cards and what have you? Yeah. So why don't you tell us in your words, your own words, what you got going on? And let me have your cards here and then we'll go ahead and go through them while you're doing that.
He's already submitted one.
You already good? All right, you don't worry about it then. Okay. Good deal. All right, then let's go ahead with what you got going.
So I'm here to propose an RV park at 8112 North US 40. And the occupied RV park, will be on site and And really, that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay. And this is the kind of the layout on that, what you submitted
Now,
here?
that's the UDO.
Oh, the UDO one.
I did submit a site plan though, as well. It's just
The
a rough site plan.
Should be in the very back.
very back.
I just have it on with the hospital that we submitted.
Okay,
I would like to, do at least 2 phases to complete the RV park. The first phase would be the front half, which is 12 or 13 units, and on the final layout. And the back half would be an additional 21 units, with a max total of 34 proposed RV sites. They allow up to 25 RV sites per acre. I'm only doing 34 and about 4 acres with my 6.5 acres of land. So very abundant spacing in between the RV sites to just keep that natural landscape and just give everybody a little bit more room in between each other instead of being piled on top of one another. I've already had soil testing done for a residential and 2 commercial septic sites. The main water line from Canaan Utilities runs off of 421. And power was also, obviously I'd have to have it engineered, but it's available. So all infrastructure and utilities are available and they've been planned on. I plan on, putting in a drainage system in between every site, connecting to the roads and taking the majority of the water down to the creek. And each RV site would be approximately 1,050 square feet with 30 feet between the campsites. They want at least 10-foot roads. I would like to do a 15-foot single road and then just to give people better, easier access and now a 24-foot entrance road. And yeah, the storm shelter for the community as part of the park, an office and a laundry room and also bathhouse. Location wise, I believe it's a perfect location off of 421 in between Madison and I don't know how you pronounce it, Versailles, is how you pronounce it in France, but I've heard a lot of locals, Versailles, yes. Also, you know, just from Kentucky all the way through to Indianapolis, the towns in between, Greensburg, Batesville, Shelbyville, have easy access to US 50, State Route 250. I'd like to highlight Madison and all of its events as part of my marketing strategy. And basically just help bring in more people to the events that Madison has going on. Bolster those and emphasize those events. Like the regatta, lantern tour, the house tours.
Would each unit hook up to the septic?
Yes, yeah. So each unit would have dedicated power, water and septic.
You're gonna have these units and are you gonna be living there as well?
Yes,
So you're gonna build a house plus put these units
yes,
on 6.5 acres.
yes.
It's like a lot on a small amount of land.
37.
Yeah, on 6.5
let's,
acres.
let's not, it's fun to ask, but let's kind of go through the board. You know, just so we can keep it organized in here and keep the meeting moving. And we're gonna let everybody, once he gets done his presentation, we're gonna have everybody come up or speak and ask the questions to us or your concerns and and that, and then we'll in turn ask, just so we can keep everything. Yeah, so, if there's anything else you have,
Yeah, mainly just like back to just, emphasizing Madison's community, the underlying, areas, like the Jefferson Proving Grounds, Clifton Falls, and even as far as Hardy Lake and Scottsburg,
this lake,
just a budget-friendly place to live, RV park. There is currently not any other RV parks that are close by that are open in the winter. The closest one is actually owned by the city of Madison, and it's a 2-acre park. And it has the same amount of sites that I'm proposing on a 6.5-acre parcel. And they are extremely overpriced, in my opinion. They're in some cases higher than $100 a night during regatta, which I know supply and demand is something, but to have to drive and park your RV and still pay $100 a night, and you're kind of better off staying in a hotel room.
how are you setting this up? Are these long-term stays or short-term, or what's your contract? Are there contracts with these people, or how will you?
Short term, so just standard RV park in the UDO. This has a maximum of 180 days. I do know, from experience, there's a lot of traveling workers, construction industry, traveling nurses, etc., that may need longer accommodations depending on their circumstance. Which I don't know if the county-wise would just be acceptable to move them from one site to another after 180 days, or just basically maintaining, cleanliness around the property, not letting them, start to store a bunch of junk and have an old RV that's starting to mold because it's been sitting there for 3 years type of thing. Just, staying up on a property and not letting those sorts of things happen.
Have you been, you applied, have your septic's been approved?
I had the soil testing, but I have not had final approval from the state yet,
Okay,
and that could be engineered as well.
Good.
Scott Nichols was the soil tester, and he did mention that everything as far as his end looked very good. But it was good soil.
the board have any questions? Okay, anybody in the audience, if you do speak, will you please say your name and address so we can have it on record?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8020 North US 421,
Okay,
Howard Green, Sally Works.
okay.
This proposal borders my place on
Why
two
don't
sides.
you mind coming up here?
Well, sure.
If you don't mind, it'd make it a little easier.
Well, I don't want to.
Yeah, well,
We got a podium too.
yeah, if you want to just put your paperwork on your podium and stuff that you have, that would be best.
It makes me feel important.
There.
Well, so like I say, I got some notes, but what wasn't mentioned and what's important probably is that I saw in the paper that the Kruger Lake campground proposal is getting closer. Kruger Lake campground, that's 2 miles from this property. I think it's important to know and get an update on that. I'd like to get an update if I could. Can anybody update us on the Kruger Lake campground?
That'd be under,
Aren't you guys in charge of
City.
that?
that'd be under the city. It's in the buffer zone.
I thought it was a county.
I thought it was county.
Well, it's a county project, but it's in the city buffer zone.
Okay, so we don't know exactly where that is right now.
No,
Well, I think it's, excuse me,
The RDA funds, they're coming through the county commissioners that were granted the money from the RDA. That is in the process. They were granted money from the state. And so they are working with engineering groups that are going to be designing the plans for that campground facility there at Kruger Lake. So that is a go.
Yeah, so it's important, and I think more important to the applicant, than any of the rest of us. That's 2 miles away from this proposal. So, so I've got some objections, but mostly privacy and security, but I don't know what you base your decision on. I don't know what you're in control of. I don't know what details that you guys are able to consider. So maybe you could tell me what we're supposed to look at. I mean, our month, anything I have to say, is it gonna make any
Oh,
difference?
yeah, we listen in the concerns of the neighbors and concerns to the community and we have findings of facts that we have to follow. And if we see that it's gonna disrupt the environment or the community, then, and it's not gonna be an asset that, but we can read through the findings of facts, and that's what we base our decisions on, is what's in the findings of facts, and that is, and I can have Taylor read them to you, but those are what we're, when we're sitting here listening to the concerns or the pros and cons, that's what we're thinking about.
Okay, well, so that really doesn't tell me anything.
Well, you want her to read them to you real quick?
Could you guys look at this? This is a revised sketch of what you've been given. Would you like to look
Yeah,
at that?
yeah.
That shows you where my property is. You see, because it's not on the original sketch that I got. My property wasn't identified. So that's my property there now.
Where's yours at?
It's a Breeden, it's in the red lines. So this proposal borders me on 2 sides. So what you've got is I'm sure they're nice people. I don't mean to say anything except that you've got somebody that came into my neighborhood and bought 5 acres and is going to put a campground behind my house. So, I'm kind of not too happy about it.
And you live in that,
I've got that.
oh, you have it up there?
This is. So it borders, yeah.
Okay. And then what's this other he's got here? 3 house, 3 and 4.
It should be. This is Howard Breeden. And this property here is. Bison.
Okay. And what's 4 here?
Which is Howard Breeden as well. It looks like it goes out of the section corner.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then the campground is all that's happened over here.
It's actually
It's only
quite correct on the GIS.
No, not yet. This is still under who they purchased it.
That's the.
This is
my
the
parcel
deeded
land.
portion of it.
That's the survey.
So you have the deeded and here's the, over here would be,
Just so everybody else knows, essentially, this whole portion here is my parcel of land. The road all the way back.
Yeah, so if you're looking from 420 around there and you're looking east, isn't that property with all the buildings there?
Yeah.
So that's me, that's what you're looking at on the map, and then he's right behind me. So he's behind me and you've got the measurements there. It's reasonable distance, like 300 feet from the house. But, privacy, you can't measure that in feet, can you?
No.
I mean, it's in my total view constantly. I will tell you that if you see his back line there, the farthest east line. It's more than 2 years ago, but there was a farmer on one side and the guy that he bought the property from on the other. They were mowing grass and they stopped and had a conversation. I was on my deck and I heard. So, I've got a noise problem, I got a sight problem, I got a problem.
I don't mind with put enough, bushes, trees, fence, whatever will help maintain your privacy and maintain the, area. Really, I didn't even know you lived there with those 4 buildings. They all look like storage buildings to me, which are all non-conforming to the UDO as well. So I didn't think that you would actually have an issue with it. But
Oh, I lived there. I lived there.
Again, didn't know that.
Yeah.
It looked more like a storage facility.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, well, it was at one time, yes.
Yeah.
But not with us. Not, it was before you bought it, it was a.
Yeah, yeah.
They had.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, you see my problem. Like I said another way. If you could imagine that somebody you don't know invites 40 or 50 people that he doesn't know to my backyard. I know it's my backyard. It's 300 feet away, but it's still, I'll be able to see them. I'll be able to hear them. They'll be able to see me. It's totally, my privacy's totally gone. I don't know if that's the issue you guys address. That was my question. I don't know if that's something you consider. But it's important to me and security as well. I'm a camper. I've been to a lot of campgrounds. Campers are great people. There's exceptions to everything. And I've got a building there 80 feet away from this line. I've got expensive equipment in there. I'd have to install security lights at least just to feel right. Not that I would expect a problem. Well, another issue I might think is, so you see a creek is running through there?
Over here.
From through my property, through the fence, his property. If he dumps a lot of water in there, then
Then it goes
it's,
straight to my property.
Straight to.
if he dumps a lot of water in there, that backs up the way it is right now. You're gonna put in a big, bridge or something across there?
There's already a culvert going to the back of the property.
Yeah.
I do plan on putting a little bit bigger of a culvert just because I don't think what's there is
Well, it's
adequate.
not, it's two little pipes they got put
Yeah,
in,
it's not adequate for what that should be.
so you'd have to do that too, but
And there shouldn't be any more water going in the creek than there would be otherwise.
yeah.
I'm just diverting it in a more efficient manner. That way the ground around the campers isn't becoming all soggy.
I understand. One other thing I was thinking though is like thinking about campers, you know, you don't go camping to stay in your campsite. Campers explore. So, they're gonna be down here on this fence down on the creek. If I was a kid, when you were a kid, the first place you'd go, down on that creek. Well, it's on my fence line. Now, am I gonna be liable if somebody comes across here? Another thing I do down there with those buildings, I've got a groundhog problem. I target shoot down there all the time. Am I not gonna be able to do that anymore? How does that work? I mean, those are questions I don't have the answers to, but this is a problem for me.
I don't know about the shooting, and even if I didn't get an RV site, I don't know how often let you with you shooting at me either. So you might not be shooting either way, partner.
I would never be shooting at you.
I'm just saying, if there's an RV park there or not, I'm gonna be there. I don't feel too comfortable you shooting at me.
Well, I'm glad to know you, so that's enough to go.
Still have the groundhog problem, but.
I
Yeah,
think we
if
do
I don't
too,
get
yeah.
to do that, I'll just be run over. They're in all those buildings and I had 13 one year. I mean, there's some things you just gotta do.
Yeah. And I don't mind working with you on any of your concerns, you know, really. My objective is to create something for me and my wife that, you know, not only can support us, but we can work on and maintain, you know, like something I enjoy doing is talking to people, interacting with people, being out in the sun on my land, gardening, you know, just being out and about.
If I was to ask you a question, it would be, aren't you concerned about the Kruger Lake project?
I will admit that I didn't know about it when I first.
I wouldn't make
looked
that
into this.
investment knowing that.
It's a government entity though. They have a lot of red tape around them, for instance, and not every park should be owned by the government or the city. I don't think either, because then they can control all the pricing and really, like I said, like with the regatta, $100 a night to park your RV, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I plan on being around, you know, 35, 45 a night, depending on the site. And they're all gonna be the same site. I just mean whether they're using 30 amp or 50 amp hookups, because it does make an impact on me as well.
One last comment then. You've said these sites are full service.
Yes, sir.
If you have full service sites and you don't have a 2-week stay limit, which is standard in state parks and KOAs and those places. If you don't have that, if you don't enforce that, tell me how that's not a trailer park.
Well, the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance of Jefferson County says that they can stay 180 days.
Yes, well, okay. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Hello, Robert and Laura Hinton. We live at 8192, right there. Yes, right there. So we could, yeah, we currently purchased the part right directly behind my property, our property right there. It squares off. Yeah.
So he will be our view
As well.
That will be our back view for now on.
Also, that piece of property right there what we purchased has 40-foot falls on it.
With
Two
the rock,
falls,
with a rock quarry.
sheer cliff. I mean, very, very sketchy, scary property. We don't necessarily want anyone back there that's not welcomed. We're concerned about our own safety, you know, I mean, we don't necessarily want strangers in our backyard. So yeah, this is not good for us. We moved from city to the country because we wanted our own privacy, just like everyone who lives in the country.
Like he said, privacy was our thing. We moved there to get away, to sit on our back porch, not to look at, you know,
I honestly
all
don't
the other
think you
things.
guys will be able to see me through the creek.
But
I was just there today.
How are
I
you
came to your
able,
house.
how are you able to contain the people that you're bringing in there, young children, you know, anyone that's willing to
We can't,
explore?
we go camping all over. You can't contain them.
Yeah.
We see where the teenagers go. You can't contain them.
Ultimately, I can't control other people's decisions, you
So
know.
what happens when they go to our property and get to the cliff and something happens?
Well, I will make it to where basically they can't without already endangering themselves. No trespassing, fences. If you're climbing over the fence and no trespassing, I mean, they could have done that whether I'm there or not.
But
That was the whole point of this. That's what we're saying is
we're not
moving there.
willing to welcome, you know, this to our backyard, you know,
I mean,
it's,
I mean, it totally makes sense.
and on 6.5 acres, all that, plus you're gonna build a house, it's gonna be so congested. Traffic, you're gonna bring in so much traffic, and like you said, you're saying you're like construction workers to come and stay. You're wanting to welcome that there to stay, that's not what we wanna welcome. And I know a lot of the neighbors up and down 421, we have spoke to numerous neighbors, and I knew numerous neighbors that are here. They don't want that around our area for safety reasons. Like he said, we have lots of things in our garage. That's gonna have to make us spend more money for different things to keep our area and our property safe.
Okay.
So,
Are you, can you come here, show me exactly on these, what I got where you would be,
absolutely, yeah.
if you don't mind, or
They're up here.
on a bigger map would be fine.
They're up here.
So you're,
So this is all us right here.
you bought this here
Yes.
then,
Yes.
and then the new this property we're
This is-
looking at,
This is the campsite right here.
and it veers off. So there's a parcel in between you and him,
Yes. That's Brian Theron's.
right here.
Yes.
So how wide is that property?
His house
What
is
does it say?
several hundred feet away
300
from
and some feet.
where I'd be.
300 feet,
300, yeah.
clearly straight across when we sit back on our porch.
okay. Okay,
And I know everybody
We can see clearly
who's
to
ever
them.
been camping has people come over to enjoy the outdoor experience, you know, drinking, partying. And that's just something we're not okay with in our backyard.
anyone else?
I agree with you.
Okay. Yes. Oh, behind you. Sorry about that.
Place you want. Andy Crozier, 1017 East Crozier Lane. I just want think I'm bored, maybe gotta table this until you get a better idea what the layout of this campground's gonna be. It's just, I wanna do this, I wanna do that, I wanna do this. There's no plan to it that we see.
I have submitted a site plan.
You have all
They
the,
do
all
have
the
a site.
sites are laid out,
Yes, sir.
except, okay, well, it's not showing on there. I thought that's all they had right there.
This is just the GIS. This is what's online for the Indiana.
Here it is, English.
And if you had the, yeah. You see, you've had soil tests and everything, it'll handle a commercial,
Two
Septic?
commercial septic systems, yes, sir.
okay, with 34 units.
Yes, sir. Like I said, they allow 25 units per acre.
Mhm.
I'm doing 34 and 4 acres of land.
Yeah.
So they're saying that you can have 100 on that same amount of land that I'm proposing to use for RVs. I'm essentially proposing 4 acres for the RV usage, an acre and a half of green space, which is primarily the creek and the frontage to keep the RVs away from the road. And an acre for my own primary residence, which would be closest to Robert. Well, kind of, you got Brian's land here. My proposed primary residence is here, and then there'd be 12 RV sites here and 21 here. So really, it's closest to them, furthest away from Robert, and I'm willing to work with anybody on any concerns. I said, I don't control anybody else's actions. I'd be more concerned about 200 units going across the street from me than 34 with the guy that's living on the property. That's gonna say, hey, stop making noise at 9 o'clock at night and kick them off my land if they don't. Whereas the 200 guys over there, and nobody's stopping them from making noise or coming over to your land too.
Yeah, one more point I wanna make is that, most of the attractions, he said, the people in your park, they all have hundreds of RV sites right on their properties. Why would somebody rent an RV spot for you, from you and go to Versailles State Park or in Hardy Lakes is too big of a stretch. You're not gonna go that far. Those places all have full hookup.
Not all of them,
All the parks do.
Clifty Falls does not.
They have full hookup. They have Class A, Class C, which Class A, I think the sewer, they got a dump station right there as you roll out. But those places also have that 2-week limit, 14 days. When you start extending past that, I can advise the board to go up to James County and look at Indiana Gardens. It was proposed this to start with, and it's a rundown, just 4 or 5 trailers is all left there now, and
Well, I'm not,
my next line of work, a lot of our problems came out of there.
and I'm not proposing, mobile homes,
They didn't either,
okay?
but it morphed into it. Once you get your approval, it's hard for the board to stop anything else.
Well, that's not, I don't know what county that was, but that's not the case here. A mobile home park and a RV park are classified as 2 completely different things. So I would have to go back to them and get approval for that.
Right. But people start living in their RVs permanently. I can name the 3 in that area right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
It shouldn't be there.
And I, again, would avoid that at 180 days max is their UDO.
I
And
think 2 weeks would make these people happier. That way you have nobody sitting up shop and it's starting to live there.
And I'm all right with, working with anybody on any terms that might appease, the neighbors. I don't think that's entirely fair to those traveling people who do need a little bit more time. And I've traveled and lived in RV parks for a while now too. And a lot of times they're just as quiet, if not more quiet than a residential place. People are coming home, they're going inside their RV and that's about it. They're not
Well,
there.
we
they're
have
not there
different
to always
experience with
park.
RV parks then.
It
It's been
depends-
33 years regulating them and they're never quiet.
It depends on the RV park.
Threatening with going to jail. So the last thing is, I'd like the board to look at how his RV park will affect the property values of the landowners around there, because it's gonna diminish them no matter what. Nobody's gonna buy a house with an RV park behind it. So not many people would, some might, but not many.
Thank you very much.
But that's it. That's all I've got to say. And so good luck with it. You guys are still on board. I'm not.
Oh, anyone else? Board, you got any comments or questions or concerns? Do you need more time to digest this? After seeing and hearing all this, would you like to table it, or you got questions? You ready to?
I'm concerned about the 6 septic tanks on 6 acres. Two septic tanks.
2 septic tanks.
You're gonna run, I thought those 3 Cs were
Two commercial and residential.
commercial septic.
Yeah, there's one commercial septic in the back half of the land, and there's one commercial septic in the front half of the land.
Okay, I just see
Two
3 C circled there. I was just taking it as that.
It is just the
Plus your
size.
primary residence is separate, right?
Yes, the residential.
So that's
septic
gonna
is
be
separate.
3 on 6 of them. And then, what's gonna keep you 5 years down the road from wanting to put more campsites? Cause you're,
I don't have the land. I want to maintain that, spatial distance. And B, from my experience, single person maintaining these sites to actually maintain them. About 40 is kind of about the limit for most people to be able to do by themselves. Now, if I want to start hiring people and stuff, then I would have to look at buying more land, because I wouldn't want to condense and try to switch more units into this place.
My only concern is for something like this to be able to go in would be, it would have to have a 6-foot privacy fence all the way around it. Just because of the neighbors and, you know, containing, the people that are going to be at it. And, my other concern is how close it is, to the existing property owners and dwellings. That's a concern. I probably ought to study it a little more, but the first initial thing would be the fence would have to be a condition, for me to, move forward with it.
I'd like a more better site development plan to show as far as the feet between each home, what our UDO is required to show all of that on there. As far as the roads coming in and out, there's requirements for two roads going in and one, so I'd like to see that. It's just hard to see that to make sure it's meeting everything that we have.
Have you talked to the state on road access coming onto 421 to make sure that that's with that amount of traffic that they're, cause that they're okay with that?
I have talked to NDOT, originally about putting a culvert and an access road in. I did not go into detail as far as, how many.
If you need a turning lane or any of that stuff.
Yeah, and that'll all be engineered if we do get approval. Essentially, I didn't want to pour a bunch of money into something that y'all are gonna say no to. That's mainly you've all said no so far, right? So it wouldn't have been very wise of me to go dish out, hundreds or thousands of dollars to.
I just want to ask everybody, if you were in our situation and you've spent a lot of money to make this your home, your residence, and then have somebody come propose to put an RV park in your backyard, each one of you, how would you feel that if you were in our situation about the whole deal?
We just really want you guys to realize what this is going to do to the value of everyone's property and homes around us. We bought this home 5 years ago and totally gutted it, and it has been a family project, and anybody that drives 421 has seen all of our family and friends out there working our butts off to totally gut and remodel this house.
Well, we take all that in consideration. I mean, when we don't take our positions lightly. And we all live in neighborhoods and out in the country, and things like this come in our areas too, not RVs, but it's other things that come in, solar or whatever the case may be. So we look at all that, and part of the thing is one of our findings of facts that we have to consider, just so you know, is will this be injurious to the public health, safety, moral, and general welfare of the community is one of them. So, you know, that's some of the things we have to look at, you know. So, and property values is one of those. So, and the more specific we can find, the easier it is. So like Jenny was saying, knowing the distance and some of that, but I understand you don't want to, we want to spend a bunch of money.
I did detail it in my email too, so each side is 1,050 square feet. The UDO says they have to be 950. It says they need to be 25 feet spacing in between sites. I did 30 feet spacing in between sites, so I did over and above and beyond what the UDO requires. And it might not all be on the site plan just because there's a lot of information to try to condense on there, but it was part of the email that I sent over to Taylor. Just to kind of clarify those questions.
Could I repeat something that I said?
Yeah, come up here though, yeah. We're gonna make it hard on you.
Might not be important to everybody.
Well, if it is to you, it's to everybody.
Well, like I say, I'm just repeating something, but it's a reason about the fence I did. So like I say, from my house, and you've got my map there,
Yeah.
to the far east line of his property. Okay, all the way back beyond his campsite. I heard the conversation between two neighbors. I heard their conversation. Okay. The fence idea, I'm on high ground, he's on high ground, there's a creek here. You want a 40-foot fence? Then I wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't block, it wouldn't interfere with my view. So, not likely to happen.
I'll put whatever size fence you want on your side.
Can you do a 50-foot fence?
I can build a Trump border wall if you want, sir.
All right,
If that's what's gonna make you happy, that's what I'll do.
all right, anybody else have any?
And I totally understand all your guys' points of view and, you know, issues with it. One thing I have to point out is there's basically essentially commercial buildings all around where I'm at already. So, you know, property value wise, it's already a commercial project. And typically commercial property is a lot more valuable than residential property. It would also be bringing in, you know, more of the community and again, helping bolster the community. So I think it could help increase your property values rather than hinder it, but it's all in the eye of the beholder. That's just my opinion.
Where's the commercial company?
Your property,
That's not commercial.
4, 5, that is non-conforming to the UDO.
That's okay, but it's not commercial because.
It looks commercial.
All right. Well, board, anything else? You want to go ahead and do the findings of fact, or would you feel more comfortable to table this for next meeting?
I'll make a motion to table to next meeting.
I second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, can you, do you want anything done while, to come to the next meeting on that?
I'd like to everything be on here so we can visually see that it is.
Can you update that a little bit with what you put in the email, but put it on the drawing? I mean, it doesn't have to be an engineer, but what that is.
Yeah.
And then, and I would like for you to, if you don't mind, talk to the state on that.
And not about the access road.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to know a little more about that.
I mean, if you could get like approval that you've talked to some people, septic, fire department, things like that, that you're gonna have to meet with part of the UDO. That kind of things would be,
It was just like something signed by, or, I don't.
is that, I
Yeah.
mean, just something that shows, cause I mean,
We can
'Cause I know
put
the
that,
drainage has
we
to go
can
through
put
the
conditions
commissioners.
of that it's approved by the septic's approved. We can put
Yeah.
conditions that they can't get a building permit or to move forward without those conditions.
Yeah, you can do that with the health department, you can do that with the State Department of Transportation.
All those,
And,
okay.
you can make those all conditions, of a special exception.
Yeah, cause I've tried to contact the state for the septic. I had my septic done. November 13th was the completion of the job date supposedly. And, I tried contacting and the message was essentially, we're busy, good luck. And I left a message, probably about 3 weeks ago and still haven't heard back from the state.
So what about fire?
Name and.
Wendell Lanham. I live a couple of. What kind of fire coverage covers that there?
Fire coverage as far as insurance or as far as.
Fire companies come in.
So that's part of the EMA and just the emergency medical, and so adhering to their UDO with the proper spacing,
That
proper
Madison
entrance
Township.
roads, 24-foot entrance
be
road,
Madison
all that
Township.
is to go into the emergency medical.
I think it's Madison Township.
Well, it'd be, Monroe
Is it Monroe?
Township, so Canaan has them, but they all have mutual aid agreements. So
So it could be one of the three.
Madison Township would be the first one there.
It just says that you can approve all the site from the local part of
Okay.
accessibility and things like that.
All the accessibility and like septic, the exact, finished detail is gonna be engineered by somebody way above my pay grade. The septic will be engineered by the state, the roads will be approved by NDOT and the EMA, which is for the medical and emergency services. Everything's gonna be approved and permitted through the proper entities. It's not just me on a whim saying, hey, I'm gonna throw an RV park in here. I gotta make sure that all these folks, all you folks, everybody else approves it along the way. It's not just,
So what,
they approve it, I get to go
so
start throwing
if
stuff
we,
out there.
if we happen to make an approval or if this say we do, we can put all those conditions that everything that you guys, fire has to approve, septic has to be approved by the state, the NDOT's got to approve, all those things before he can even come down here. He'll have to have that in place. And, we looked it up, Monroe, Canaan is primary, Madison Township is secondary to that area. But we've got a lot, we'll do our homework. If you could do a little bit for us, we'll look at this next meeting and we can do, as we look at this, we can massage this as a board as far as approval, like we said, the fence and what have you. But anyway, we'll talk next meeting then, and it'll be in, March, the what? March 4th at the same 5 o'clock for everybody. Okay? And anybody, you're welcome to leave. You don't have to listen to us anymore if you don't want to. But you're more welcome to stay.
It's nice to meet you, neighbor. Sorry it's under these circumstances, but hopefully
Any other,
yeah, and if we do get it through, I'm willing to work with you guys.
any other business?
I'm gonna be living on the land too, so I don't want a bunch of people making noise and making you uncomfortable.
I'm looking for an adjournment motion.
Make motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Jim. Fred, appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All opposed? Welcome to stay.